Thanks so much for joining into my Rebelcast. My name is Hassan and I will be your Rebelcaster for today.
Once upon a time there was a working class hero who wanted to give power to the people. So he asked us to imagine a world of peace, love and truth, to give peace a chance. Do you want to know a secret from me to you? All you need is love, so love me do. And whether the music was acoustic or rock and roll, he walked along a winding road till he wore out his rubber sole with his old brown.
So today we'll be speaking about a very interesting topic, which is how things became the way they are today. We'll go back a little bit in history. I would start by talking about two fundamental stories that happened quite a long time ago. The first story, it happened about a million years ago, and this story was enacted by a type of people that we might call today the tribal people, the people of the tribes or whatever. So those people lived their life accepting the fact that nature is ruling over them. They lived among the animals and they pretty much loved it. They used to hunt and gather and they were good with that. They liked it and they accepted that fact. Then, about 10,000 years ago, a very revolutionary act happened that changed the sense of history. And that revolutionary act was the act of settlement. The hunters and the gatherers of that time started thinking out of the box a little bit. They were like, we're exhausted. We're always moving around from one place to another and getting exhausted. Maybe some days they ran out of food. They stay one day without a food, who knows? So they decided and said, why we don't settle in one place, eat everything in that place, and then go to a different place. And then they did it, but they didn't like the fact that when they run out of food, they need to go to a different place. It's getting them more exhausted. So they said, let's just try to think a little bit more out of the box. And that is the start of a revolutionary idea, which was the agricultural revolution, when they started growing their own food. And that is the point when they started manipulating nature for them. It was a starting point for conquering nature rather than nature conquering over them. This agricultural revolution evolved every day to a point where the leaders of the tribe started wanting to control over the food resources and spread them fairly to the people. So the leaders of the tribe started gathering the food, storing it, locking it, and spreading it fairly amongst their people. Of course, some people of the tribes did not accept that fact. They didn't accept that fact that they want others to control over how much they eat and when they eat, and they still wanted to keep the first story enacted, which is gathering, hunting, and living that lifestyle. So that rebel sense inside of them started showing up, that they don't want to be enslaved for the leaders. They didn't want to settle down in one place. Simple as that. But the agricultural revolution started growing more and more powerful every day, till the story of the tribes has ended. The leaders of the tribes started being more powerful to a point they started enforcing their laws on the smaller tribes and wanted them to join the new story, which is the second fundamental story we will be talking about. When the first fundamental story ended by the power of the takers, let's call them, the power of the people who are now civilized. When this power took over, the tribes became very, very small and very, very weak, to a point they were kicked out to the edge of the society, to the edge of the civilization. That is when the second story started enacted on humanity, the story of mother culture, which started by the agricultural revolution, and the agricultural revolution led to many different things like trade, commerce, mathematics, and the advancement of technologies. But this new story has had a very powerful aim to enact upon its people. People started getting accustomed to that type of living day after day, and that happened about 10,000 years ago when the first story ended. We jumped into the second story, where people started getting civilized in a way. People started ruling over nature instead of nature ruling over them by manipulating the elements of earth. But that story that been enacted on us since 10,000 years ago didn't stop. And it was played over and over and over and over again since that time. And that story, you hear it every single day. You hear it when you wake up, when you go to school, to work, eat, come back. You always are hypnotized by it, to a point where you don't even have to listen to it. It just becomes like a humming of a motor in the background. You don't even have to feel that it's over there, but it is playing at the background. It keeps playing and playing, humming and humming, over and over again. And we are being almost hypnotized by it, to a point even that the new people that come into this story, they don't even have to know anything about it. They just see everybody enacted in this story, and they become part of the story. And once somebody wakes up from this story and recognizes that there is a voice that is humming in the background, they wake up to the fact that they need to also wake other people. And they start telling people, can't you listen to it? Can't you hear it? It's already playing in the background. But guess what? People start looking at those people as if they are demonically possessed. And they cast them away of the society. And they no longer have a place in their story. and they are no longer fed by the same civilization. That is when people start having the sense of waking other people up. But what prevents them from changing or releasing the word from the captivity it is in, it is that they are not able to find the bars of the cage that they are in. They are not able to find the bars that they are locked inside. They're always inside but not able to find where are the limits of this cage. So they give up and say, let's just be part of this story that's been enacted on us. Now you're asking yourself, what is this story? What is this story that you've been always speaking about? This story, my friends, is a story that tells you how everything came to be the way it is today. The story of man conquering over nature. The story of man being the conqueror, not the nature being the conqueror. The man being the conqueror over the world. And believes he wants to make this place as a paradise. Yet, with all his flaws, he spoiled everything. He spread hate, greed, destruction, and all of this kind of things. Under the name that he is the conqueror of the world and the world belongs to him, and everything else doesn't make sense to him. Animals, plants, trees, whatever, they are not part of being anything in the competition. He is the only conqueror. That is the story that this mother culture has been enacting on human beings since 10,000 years ago. And it's repeating and repeating and repeating. Everyone in this earth gets that feeling that he wants to be the conqueror. He wants to be the owner of this world. And it repeats from one person to another, even without even being educated about it. They just see it, feel it around. It's just humming in the background. You can hear it in the radio that humans are conquering the space, conquering the lands, the seas. But guess what? With all what the human being is conquering and believing that he is the king of the world, this same human being doesn't even know how to live. This same human being that is believed that he went out to the moon, he crossed the space, built rockets, split the atoms, till now does not even know how to live. In this same mother culture story, that's why prophets started coming out to tell people how to live. How to live in such new story to enact, that in this story you are the conqueror rather than the nature being the conqueror. But till now, humans don't know how to live their life. Why? because of that same story that is forcing them to conquer and believe that they are the only ones, yet they are flawed. They have a lot of flaws inside of them. This is the main reason that they will never know how to live life, because they've been enacted in a story that is not natural for them. They believe that they are perfect beings on earth, yet they have all these flaws inside of them. And those flaws are being projected into what they do, into what they build, into what they create. Greed, ego, hate, destruction, war, all of those flaws inside of us are being projected negatively on the world in many ways. In things we create, in things we think that we are innovating about. And the world we live today, in this century, proved that this story has a very catastrophic ending. Yet, the first story that I talked about, the story of the tribals, the leavers, the people who left civilizations and decided that they wanted to stay living in the older story. They believe that their story is still happening and it's not done yet. Those people are still surviving in their own peace with nature. Civilizations grow and fall. Then they grow and fall. Different civilizations come, grow and fall. But those leavers or tribals or whoever you want to call them, they are still watching. Where we are going to, where would we reach in this new story we've been enacting as the conquerors? Would we turn this earth into paradise as we claimed before? Or would we destroy it with our greed and flaws? Just look around you today and you will have the answer for the ending on this story. Viruses have been spread, killing human beings because of that same reason that story is telling every human that you are a conqueror and you need to conquer on earth. They wanted to conquer not just earth, even human beings, and believe that they are some kind of higher race above all. In the name of technological revolutions, we've been sending all this destructive electromagnetic waves that have been destroying our natural process of being. That is in the name of conquering nature and going above it. And those same conquerors, leaders, or whatever you want to call them, the rich elite, the fact that they've been ruling since a long time, and they are enacted in that same story. They don't have to teach it to others to enact it, to be like it. The natural process of getting born into this kind of story makes you want to be like them. Conquer. Believe that you are turning this place into paradise. And look what we do. Contemplate in what's going on today, and you will know that the ending will be catastrophic. Until we wake up to the fact that we are destroying the world in this new story that we need to enact and be inside of it. But when would that happen? When will you wake up? Or is it fear that is keeping you away from waking up? Fear of getting no place in this story. Because this mother culture is doing its best to hide the bars of the cage from you. That is what I wanted to say today. I hope you had a spark of a rebel inside of you that will allow you to wake up. Thank you so much for joining in me today. My name is Hassan, and I am your Rebelcast.